The room was dimly lit, the soft hum of machines punctuating the silence as Margaret sat in her favorite armchair, a quilt draped over her lap. At 82, she had seen the world change in ways she could hardly fathom. Her hands, once steady and strong, now trembled slightly as she reached for her cup of tea. The warmth of the ceramic felt comforting against her skin, a small reminder of the simple pleasures that life still offered. Yet beneath this tranquil surface, a storm brewed within her body, one that had begun to alter the very fabric of her existence. It had started months ago with a series of vague symptoms that she had dismissed as the natural wear of age. Fatigue settled into her bones like an unwelcome guest, and the occasional swelling in her ankles was attributed to too much time spent sitting. But as the weeks turned into months, her appetite waned, and the once vibrant flavors of her favorite meals turned dull and uninviting. It was her daughter, Claire, who insisted on a visit to the doctor when Margaret struggled to keep up during their weekly walks in the park. Claire's worry had been palpable, and Margaret had reluctantly agreed, not wanting to cause any more concern. The doctor's office was a sterile environment, the smell of antiseptic mingling with the faint scent of lavender from a diffuser in the corner. After a series of tests, the diagnosis was delivered with a gravity that hung heavily in the air: chronic kidney failure. The words echoed in Margaret's mind, a haunting refrain that she struggled to grasp. She had heard of kidney problems before, but they had always seemed distant, a concern for others. Now they were her reality. Kidney failure, she learned, was a condition where the kidneys could no longer filter waste and excess fluids from the blood efficiently. The kidneys, two bean-shaped organs located at the back of the abdomen, were vital for maintaining the body's balance. They regulated blood pressure, produced hormones, and managed the levels of electrolytes. As she listened to the doctor, Margaret felt as though she were being handed a manual for a machine she didn't know how to operate. The doctor explained that the condition could be acute, developing suddenly, or chronic, appearing gradually over time. In her case, it was chronic, often linked to diabetes and high blood pressure, conditions she had been managing for years but had never fully understood. The news was a heavy burden to bear, but Margaret was determined not to let it define her. She learned quickly that kidney failure was not a death sentence, but rather a chronic condition that required management. She began to understand the importance of a balanced diet, one that was low in sodium, potassium, and phosphorus. The dietary restrictions felt daunting at first, but with Claire's help, they navigated through cookbooks and online resources, finding new recipes that were both nutritious and delicious. Margaret discovered the joy of preparing meals with fresh vegetables and lean proteins, and slowly her energy began to return. However, the journey was not without its challenges. The fatigue persisted, often leaving her feeling drained after even the simplest tasks. She found herself needing to rest more often, and the social gatherings she once cherished became overwhelming. Friends would drop by, bringing treats she could no longer enjoy, and Margaret would smile politely, hiding her disappointment behind a facade of cheerfulness. She learned to communicate her needs, explaining her condition to those around her, and was surprised by their understanding and support. The isolation she feared turned into a network of compassion, as friends offered to join her for walks or help with grocery shopping. As the months passed, Margaret began to navigate the complexities of her condition. She attended regular appointments with her nephrologist, who monitored her kidney function and adjusted her treatment plan as needed. The doctor spoke of the possibility of dialysis, a process that would help filter her blood artificially when her kidneys could no longer do so. The thought of it was daunting, a reminder of her fragility. But Margaret was determined to remain proactive. She educated herself about the different types of dialysis, hemodialysis and peritoneal dialysis, and what each would entail. The more she learned, the more empowered she felt. One day, while sitting in the waiting room at the clinic, she struck up a conversation with another patient, a gentleman named Harold, who was also dealing with kidney failure. Their shared experiences created an instant bond, and they began to exchange stories about their lives, their families, and their struggles. Harold spoke candidly about his own journey, the ups and downs, and how he had learned to embrace each day, no matter how challenging it became. Margaret found solace in their conversations, realizing that she was not alone in this fight. As the seasons changed, so did Margaret's perspective. She began to appreciate the small victories, the days when she felt energetic enough to tend to her garden, the laughter shared over a cup of tea with Claire, and the quiet moments of reflection that reminded her of the beauty in life. She took up journaling, documenting her thoughts and feelings, a therapeutic release that helped her process the emotional weight of her diagnosis. Each entry was a testament to her resilience, a reminder that while kidney failure was a part of her life, it did not define her. Through it all, Margaret learned the importance of advocacy, not just for herself, but for others facing similar challenges. She joined a local support group where she found a community of individuals who shared their experiences and offered encouragement. Together, they organized educational workshops, inviting healthcare professionals to speak about kidney health, nutrition, and coping strategies. Margaret discovered a newfound purpose in helping others navigate the complexities of chronic illness, her own journey transforming into a source of strength for those around her. As she reflected on her journey, Margaret realized that kidney failure had taught her invaluable lessons about life, resilience, and the power of connection. She had faced her fears, embraced her vulnerabilities, and emerged stronger than she had ever imagined. The road ahead was still uncertain, but she had learned to take it one day at a time, cherishing each moment and celebrating the small victories along the way. In a world where so much felt beyond her control, she had found a sense of peace in the knowledge that she was not alone, and that every day was an opportunity to write her own story.